Coming up on Nittany Game Week, one of the most dominant teams in all of college sports is in complete control of their rival once again as Penn State manhandles the Hawkeyes. Which wrestlers light the spark in the electric BJC?
I'm responsible for one, and when I get to my responsibility, I got to make the guy miss.
Nobody misses a chance to see former PSU superstar Saquon Barkley at the Super Bowl. Why the Eagles' top offensive weapon receives the Lions' share of the attention all week long in New Orleans.
When you have so much talent, just like we did at Penn State, we have a lot of talent here. When you pay attention to little details, special things can happen.
And Eagles wideout Jahan Dotson equates the team in Philly with his former squad in Happy Valley. What he learned at Penn State that translates to the NFL. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week, a special Super Bowl episode. I'm Todd Sadowski in New Orleans at the Super Bowl Experience. And you know, it always seems to have a Nittany Lion making a major impact in the NFL's championship game, and this year is no different. Saquon Barkley, Jahan Dotson, Hunter Nourzad, all on the active rosters. We'll check in with all three coming up later in the show. For now, let's send it to Ryan Yee, and if you think the Chiefs are a dominant team going for a three-peat, well, nobody is more dominant, Ryan, than the Nittany Lions wrestling team.
Yeah, that's right, Todd. First, I got to say, hope New Orleans is treating you well. Very excited to hear from those Penn State ties in Sunday's big game, giving this week's Nittany Game Week a little Super Bowl flavor. Love it. But you mentioned it, this Penn State wrestling team is rolling. And last week, there was a matchup that all college wrestling fans in the country had marked on their calendars. Number 1 Penn State versus then number 2 Iowa. And with no surprise, their dominance continued, which we break down in our opening drive. An absolute electric environment at the Bryce Jordan Center last week. The number 1 ranked Penn State wrestling team took on then number 2 Iowa, a matchup all college wrestling fans have been waiting for. The Big Ten showdown began with a 125 matchup between true freshman and number 7th ranked Luke Lillidahl and Iowa's Joey Cruz. Lillidahl takes care of business to kick it off with the night of 22 takedowns leading to a 22-6 tech fall. 5-0 Penn State. Iowa would tie it back at 5, then a string of dominance for the number 1 ranked team in the country. Bo Bartlett, a 7-3 decision win. Number 4 Shane Van Ness beat number 2 ranked Kyle Parko in a 17-6 major. Then in the biggest statement of the night, Tyler Kasich upsetting the number 1 ranked Ja'Cory Teamer, finishing off with a statement crowd pleaser. Penn State up 15-5 at the break. Then to finish off business, number 1 at 165, Mitchell Messenbrink dominated number 2 Mikey Caliendo, and then Levi Haynes down Patrick Kennedy convincingly 10-3. And then the big boys, Carter Starocci at 184 beat Angelo Ferrari, and Greg Kirkvillette wrapped up the night with a 12-2 major. Penn State beats Iowa dominantly 30-8 to win the highly touted 1 versus 2 matchup.
Overall, our guys are consistent. I mean, they like to compete, and it's kind of the first question is that's just kind of how we wrestle. We're going to move forward and try to create angles and score points, and people know that's what we're going to do, and so that makes it kind of more fun to and a challenge to continue to be able to do that.
And the win over Iowa pushed Penn State to a 10-0 season record, 4-0 in conference, and the sole undefeated team in the Big Ten. Now, the thing everyone is talking about after what was a BJC duel that did not disappoint is the statement that Tyler Kasich made while upsetting then 157 number 1 ranked and 4-time All-American Iowa's Ja'Cory Teamer. The win pushes Kasich to the top spot in the weight class in a finish fans will never forget. Bloodied and tired, Tyler Kasich raises a fist to the BJC crowd as the time dwindles down and is upset over Ja'Cory Teamer. It's the most memorable match of arguably the sophomore's career, and now finds himself atop of the 157 weight class. The Bucks County native is now undefeated this season with a 12-0 record, success that has required grittiness and toughness.
Yeah, I mean, the blood time, that's just what happens in wrestling. Things happen. So I wasn't too really worried about that. But, I mean, as far as the celebration and that stuff, I kind of just blacked out. I have no idea what I really did. Just enjoying the moment and, grateful for the opportunities to to go wrestle a team like Iowa. I mean, they're probably my favorite team to wrestle just because I don't know, I just like wrestling.
The big win also rewards Kasich with the Big Ten Wrestler of the Week honors alongside teammate Luke Lillidahl, who is named Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Now, if the video didn't show how electric the atmosphere was for that match with Iowa, let the numbers show you. A record crowd of 15,998 fans were in attendance, tying the record for an indoor wrestling duel, matching Penn State versus Iowa in 2023 and Iowa in 2018. It's a Big Ten rivalry that fans show up for, feeding into the top-level performance for this #1 ranked Penn State team.
A clash of two of the best wrestling programs in the country. #1 Penn State versus #2 Iowa.
Everyone was pumped up, and I mean, everyone was just having fun. I mean, I feel like the bigger the matches, the more fun we end up having, and the more free I feel like I get, and I feel like I feed off that with the guys on the team.
A packed house for the marquee event at the Bryce Jordan Center on Friday evening. A #1 fan base fitting for a #1 team. An atmosphere like no other in college wrestling, described by the team in one word.
Sick, that's all I got for you.
Fan support that fed into the dominant performance, a team win that keeps Penn State wrestling on top of the country. Motivation to continue striving for greatness.
Just competing hard, and they wrestle pretty dang good. You know, it's a really good team we saw tonight. So yeah, you enjoy it, you have fun with what you're doing, but it's more fun to kind of just be challenging yourself to try to get better all the time. Our effort and our attitude is always going to be a higher standard than we win or lose.
Yeah, just an incredible environment. All right, he hasn't won the big game yet, but Saquon Barkley paved the way for the Eagles this season. Up next, Todd shows us Saquon's roadmap to victory in his career from high school to the pros. Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. It's time for our roadmap to victory. This week, we focus on one of the top players in this year's Super Bowl. We send it down to New Orleans and our very own Todd Sadowski for more on that. Hey, Todd.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm here at the 40-yard dash for the Super Bowl NFL experience where Saquon Barkley could show off his breakaway speed. He is the brightest star here at the Super Bowl, but it was not an easy journey to get here. In our roadmap to victory, we document Saquon's journey through high school, college, and football as he now receives the lion's share of the attention in New Orleans. The legend begins in the Lehigh Valley as a member of the Whitehall Zephyrs. The burst of speed, the vision to cut back, tacklers just falling down all around him. One of the best in PA, stays in PA, and goes to Penn State. Second half, freshman year, the first time jaws drop from a Saquon Barkley run. Effortless hurdle over a helpless Buffalo tackler. Over 100 yards in his first game at Beaver Stadium.
That as he had success, he fed off that. He did a really good job with building off of it and being confident in what he was doing.
The team's confidence in Barkley showed the next week against Rutgers, feeding Barkley 21 times for 195 yards and 2 scores.
I think Saquon Barkley's brought something to our offense. I think him and Akil are a nice 1-2 punch right now.
Lynch saw the writing on the wall. He would transfer at the end of the season. Over 1,000 yards on the ground, almost 6 yards a carry. Leave it to Hershey's Andrew Nelson to sum up how that offensive line feels about their fab freshman.
You know, that guy's a great player, and he's going to do great things for Penn State, and we're very thankful for him.
More gratitude for his sophomore campaign. His favorite touchdown of the year, this overtime winner against Minnesota that jumpstarts the Nittany Lions for a run that ends with a victory in the Big Ten Championship. He expands his skills as a junior with a touchdown pass to Deshaun Hamilton, and of course, his ability to return kicks the distance. He also defied physics with a catch and stop move almost equal to his ability to hurdle defenders. So many moments, so little time. Barkley scored at least 1 touchdown in every game but one in 2017. He earned a mantle full of awards, but did not even receive an invitation to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. But who needs New York City when you can dance in the desert at the Fiesta Bowl? 3 years in Happy Valley is enough. It's time to go pro. Combine the physical tools with his freakish strength. Saquon is the talk of the draft combine, and too good to pass up for the G-men.
With the second pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State.
I was born in the Bronx. I was born in New York. I live right in Lehigh Valley. It's on like an hour 45. Get to stay in the blue and white colors. I'm definitely excited about that also.
He spends 6 years in New York with the Giants. Behind a poor offensive line, he still manages over 5,000 yards on the ground and 35 touchdowns. Inexplicably, they let him pursue another team in free agency, and the Birds swoop in and pick him up.
From being a watch from afar, everything that they're about, you know, the culture here, the fans here, definitely got super excited about it, and I'm just happy to be a part of this organization, and I'm ready to go.
His impact is immediate. Barkley pulls the Eagles through the regular season with over 2,000 rushing yards and creates this iconic image with a backwards hurdle over a Jacksonville defender.
Obviously, he's blessed with elite talent, talent that not a lot of people have. But you know, he doesn't take that for granted.
He's overcome injury and frustration in the Big Apple and embraced his teammates in the city of brotherly love.
One of my favorite quotes that Nick said all the time: "You can't be great without the greatest of others," and that's how it works. We have a great team, but we all want to do it together, and that's the reason why we've been successful. And it's going to take everyone again this Sunday.
The Eagles fans expect a huge performance from Barkley on Sunday, and that's exactly what he intends to deliver. Ryan, let's send it back to you for someone who's now handling the defensive side of the ball for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, that's right, Todd. Thank you. Excited to see what Saquon Barkley does this weekend. We'll catch back up with you in a little bit, though. Sticking with football, the Nittany Lions' new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, spoke this week for the first time since getting the defensive coordinator job. Knowles, a Philadelphia native, called Penn State the epitome of college football.
You know, when I was a kid, and I was never talented enough to make it to Penn State as a player, but you know, given the opportunity to do it now as a coach, you know, it's really where I want to be to continue my career and bring any expertise that I can.
And Knowles says his new dream is to lead Penn State to a national championship. He believes the team is close and he can be of service. Service that's coming from an Ohio State team that had the #1 ranked defense in the nation. And now with the move to Penn State, the numbers reflect that. Hopeful impact that he has. The 3-year, $3.1 million per season makes him the highest paid defensive coordinator in all of college football. All right, coming up, what's making a bigger impact right now than the Super Bowl? Todd catches up with two Penn Staters, Jahan Dotson and Hunter Nourzad, helping their teams get to this point in our Impact interview. Up next.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
On our special Super Bowl episode of Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. And no matter the result, a former Penn State player will become an NFL champion. Saquon is not the only one representing PSU in the big game. We also spoke with wide receiver Jahan Dotson of the Eagles. That's why we're over at the satisfying catches part of the NFL experience. Also talked with Chiefs rookie offensive lineman Hunter Nourzad about taking the field for the biggest game of their lives.
You know, a year ago today, probably never thought I'd be here wearing an Eagles uniform, but you know, you never know where life takes you, and whatever hand you're dealt with, you got to make the most of it, and I feel like I've been doing that this year, and it's been an awesome ride. And you know, the guys have made it super easy, embracing me, and you know, just picking up along the way. But you know, it's awesome. It's truly a dream come true to be able to experience this, because this is all I've ever dreamed of since a little kid.
A year ago, Saquon didn't know he would be here either. So what's that been like to reunite, or just have another Penn Stater make such an impact, and you guys be able to share that experience and then also share this one together?
Yeah, I mean, me and Saquon, we talked a bunch throughout the years, being that, we played each other in high school, went to Penn State. So, we had a lot of familiarity, but, being able to share this together, and, it's crazy because we were just at practice the other day, and we were talking, like, it's crazy that we're both from the Lehigh Valley, and we're both representing the hometown team in the Super Bowl. So it's really awesome just when you think about little things like that. It's really, really, really special.
I know you guys have a special bond, but this team seems to have one as well. What is it about this squad that that has gotten them this far? Because you don't just do it on talent alone. There's a lot of other things that happen along the way.
Right. I tend to tell people this team feels like I'm back at Penn State. The way that it's kind of like a brotherhood around here. These guys aren't just my teammates. These guys are my brothers. Especially our receiver room. We've really grown close throughout this season. Seems like even when we're at home, we're talking to each other, we're on the game with each other. So, it's when you're not just a football team, when you're a family, special things can happen on the field that, no one can see happening. So it's pretty cool.
Something else I would equate to Penn State is Coach Sirianni and Coach Franklin. Not a lot of people talk about Coach Franklin when they're talking about Penn State. And Coach Sirianni doesn't get a lot of pub either in that way. Can you talk about what makes him special? I mean, he's guided this team now to the Super Bowl 2 years and 2 times in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say about both of them is the reason they have so much success is because they pay attention to the little details of everything. Every little detail matters to them, and when you have so much talent, just like we did at Penn State, we have a lot of talent here. When you pay attention to the little details, special things can happen. Because you already have special players. You have the talent. So, they both preach to little details, and the little things that we preach in practice, in the meetings, they come alive in the games. It's the turnovers, taking care of the ball, all things that lead to winning football. They really preach those things, and you see it with their teams.
I mean, it's cool to be connected by our school. Penn State has such a history of good NFL players, but at the end of the day, it's us versus them right now, and so I'm all in on us.
The transition from college to the NFL, what are the main differences? I mean, you know what I mean? Just whether it's lifestyle, whether it's the game, what are the differences that you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference and the most obvious one is that this is our job. There's no other thing. When you're in college, you're a student athlete, so you have to balance a lot more stuff. You can put less time into football, but here it's all ball all the time. And then when it comes to the game, I mean, everything's just faster. Defensive linemen are faster, so you got to kind of adjust everything, get your hands on it faster, shorten your steps, do whatever you have to be able to keep up to speed.
You can tell these guys understand what an incredible opportunity this is, especially early in their careers. If you want to watch more of our Impact interviews or any of our Nittany Game Week episodes and web content, check out our website at nittanygameweek.com. From the gridiron to the ice, no, not the weather you've been seeing in the Commonwealth this week. We're talking about the 8th ranked team in the nation, the women's hockey team at Penn State. A look at their dominant weekend. Next, we're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
The Nittany Game Week Depth Chart is brought to you by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Let's take a quick shift on the ice. Penn State's women's hockey team ranked 8th in the country. They headed to suburban Pittsburgh for a weekend set, taking on the Robert Morris Colonials. The Lions dominant in both games on Neville Island. Just 2 minutes into the game, sophomore Stella Retrum got her 9th of the season to put Penn State up 1-0. They would never look back. Caitlin Roberts would add 1 at the end of the first and the middle of the second to go up 3-0. Penn State wins overall 5-0. Junior Katie Desaw gets the shutout shutout. She was named AHA Goaltender of the Month for the second time this season. Now more on the game 2 on that Saturday. Penn State wins that one 5-2. The Colonials made it more of a game as the Lions only had a 3-2 lead heading into the third. Penn State with all 5 goals from 5 different players. They host Mercyhurst this weekend in the final homestand of the year with Senior Day Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Now moving on to some other sports, we got some Nittany Game Week Dean's List honors to dish out from this week for some of the top student athletes in blue and white. First up, Matt Trainer of the men's lacrosse team was named to the U.S. Intercollegiate Lacrosse Association Team of the Week after a big performance in the team season opener against Colgate. 5 goals, 2 assists in the 14-9 victory. If you do the math, that's half of the points that were scored that day that he was involved in. On the track now, Darius Smallwood earned Big Ten Track Athlete of the Week honors. Smallwood ran personal bests in both 800 and 600 meter races, top times for both in the Big Ten this season. Now moving on to the women's side of things, Haley Kitching on the women's side earned the same honor, broke her own school record in the 800 meter, and now ranks 4th in the country and top of the Big Ten. And lastly, men's hockey, Aiden Fink was named Big Ten Second Star of the Week, his second weekly award on the season after scoring a power play goal against Michigan, which pushed him to the school's career record holder for power play goals. Congrats to this week's Dean List honorees. Todd, another great set of student athletes.
Yeah, Ryan, another solid week for Penn State athletics. We love connecting Penn Staters. That's what our depth chart is all about. So much about the Nittany Lions we want to show you, and that includes where and how to connect with them. Check out the depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com for businesses that support PSU and help make our hometowns strong. You can find all kinds of content to consume on our site, including our impact interviews and past episodes. Take some time and check it out. You can also submit your pride picks that we feature at the end of every show. A lot of fun for our special Super Bowl episode of Nittany Game Week. And you know what? This is what they're playing. It's over my shoulder. The Vince Lombardi Trophy. One of these former Penn Staters are going to become an NFL champion. For Ryan Yee, I'm Todd Sadowski. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.